everybody. I'm Kristen.
And I'm Rachel.
And this is So I'm Watching The Gilded Age, Season 2, Episode 1, You Don't Even Like Opera.
Do you like opera?
No.
I would like to go to an opera.
I would go to the opera once, but no. I don't. I think it's sort of like the kabuki of voice acting. I don't.
That's a really good way to describe it.
It does not appeal to me really in any way. That's not to say I don't think it's an insane talent. I think it's a really big talent, and I think it's very special that people have that talent, but it doesn't feel good to my ears. So.
Yeah, I mean, I just kind of want to go once just to say that I've gone. Yeah. But, I'm not.
Would you live our whole Pretty Woman fantasy?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. But who knows? Maybe it would surprise us if we went and it's just like, oh, we actually do like opera.
I think I'd like the arias.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But no, when that lady started just singing,
just wailing.
It's just like, woo! We're just right out of the gate.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Hey.
It's a lot for me. Okay, so we're back.
Yay!
For the Gilded Age.
Yay.
We had a really good time with season 1, making fun of it a decent amount.
Yeah.
There were some real gut punch dresses in this one, too.
Oh, yeah.
I was very pleased to see that Aurora Fane had one good dress in this episode.
So maybe we'll start to average a little bit more,
And it was during her luncheon, the luncheon that she threw, that was the same day as Bertha's dinner.
Mm-hmm.
So I still hate that her name is Bertha.
I know, I forgot until just now.
Because even, I like Gladys, but it's I think that we needed to, one generation up all of the names. Because, whatever Gladys would name her daughter should be Gladys's name. And then Carrie Coon should be named Gladys. Because Gladys suits Bertha? No.
Even if it was, spelled Bertha, but pronounced Berta.
Oh.
In a more, European or, German.
Or, how on Bridgerton it's Anthony, even though it's spelled Anthony.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
I would much prefer that.
Yeah.
But, no, Bertha.
It's a lot. And it's, also, Carrie Coon is so beautiful. She's kind of handsome, but she's so beautiful, and she's just, I don't know. She's
too slight for Bertha.
Yeah.
I don't...
Especially after having had 2 children.
Yeah. And, I mean, because... I guess her character is supposed to be a little larger than life.
Well, and the new money of it. So it's she was maybe born poor, and that maybe Bertha has a connotation to the modern American ear or something.
I guess.
But I don't know.
I don't know. It just Bertha. It's just it's a little too something.
Yeah. Every time that we watch this show or something like this, I'm like, thank God everyone calls you Mrs. Russell.
Because, right?
Literally, what the hell?
Ugh.
There's kind of a lot going on, rolled back into this. The Russells have finished renovating a house in Newport.
No, oh, you're right.
Yeah,
they did finish.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Larry Russell, the boy, he was overseeing it because I had forgotten in season 1 he wanted to be an architect, and he basically convinced George to let him, go for it. And it turned out really great, because what was, Nathan Lane's character? What's his name?
McAllister?
Yes. He was, very impressed with it as well. And he was like, what are you going to do now? And Larry was like, well, I'm going to go back to New York and try to find some work. And he says, well, there's a widow. I called it immediately.
Yes,
there is a widow whose husband just recently died. I think he said 18 months, at the outside. Yeah. And she is moving to Newport full time, and she'd like to renovate the house. And I was like, that widow is going to be young as fuck, and Larry is going to get embroiled in some sort of scenario, some sort of affair. I'm calling it now.
Do you think she's a little bit older?
She's going to be
Larry?
older than him.
Because since she's widowed, I mean, it wouldn't necessarily be a scandal unless it was that she was a little bit older.
She's definitely going to be older than him, and I think it's not necessarily scandalous that she's a widow, but that's not what Bertha is looking for either of her children.
Yeah.
Which is why she is opposed to Oscar. Yeah. Because he's too old for Gladys. And he's also, I think he's too old for Gladys. He's also way too gay for Gladys. That's the thing is, if Gladys had, if Bertha would let her out, and if Gladys had 1 ounce of awareness about the world, I believe she might actually enter into a union like that with full knowledge. she might be like, yeah, sure. Like, you're so fun to be around. Like, yeah, let's do it.
But I think that she would actually have to experience a great love first because I think that she thinks she's going to get a love from him. And it's just like,
well, okay. I thought so maybe at first too, but then when she and Carrie Astor were sitting on that little couch later, she was like, sure, but like, do you really want to be Mrs. Oscar Van Ryn? And they both giggled and she was shaking her head while she like sipped at her wine. So I think Gladys is very flattered and it's like the first proposal. I don't think she has her heart set on Oscar.
No.
But he just like weirdly I think it must be because she's so innocent why he has his sights set on her. And the money.
And the money.
But again, like I know they are not as rich as the Russells. But
they do just fine.
They're like literally right across the street.
Yeah.
They have enough money for sure. So I don't know what he's aiming to do with more money. You know what I mean?
I think fund his
but he also seems to have had an actual change of heart.
Right. So if we were dealing with season 1 Oscar when he was going after her, it would be to fund his personal pursuits. Like
philandering.
Yeah. But so now
his gay sex.
Yeah. So now since he seemed to turn a leaf or whatever, now I don't know now.
Yeah, interesting. So because this episode starts out with Easter services. Everyone's going to their specific churches for their specific things, and the Russells have made it on par with the Astors for the most part. They've got a pew right across from them and all this stuff. So,
and isn't that so funny that getting a pew in a church is a social standing thing? What a wild time.
It's crazy.
What a wild time. Like, I'd be like, put me in the back so I can sneak out and no one will know.
I mean, that's a good way to be just branded as a heathen.
Oh, but I mean, if we know one thing.
Yeah. So Oscar's like, I'm going to head out and I'll meet you back at home for dinner. And he goes to just like one of his bars and he makes eyes at a man across the bar.
Well, the man sent him a drink.
And then they make eyes at each other. And then the next thing we see is him stumbling into the house, beaten. And it was, okay, again, because the context of it is not funny at all. That's horrible. He got hate crimed in the early 1900s, New York City for being gay. What was hilarious is that he was like, I'm sorry I haven't changed for dinner. And then he just completely fell over. That was just the like brain stuff that you have to be going through to like still think that's important when you can't move under your own steam. I just find that kind of stuff very comical. So obviously he doesn't tell anybody, like nobody knows. Although I think the maid is starting to suspect because his little boyfriend came in later and was like, he was kissing his hand when the maid brought in the coffee, but I think that they pulled away.
Yeah, they did.
Time.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You are a bachelor. You should definitely like try to father a child because of how like inheritances work and stuff. But it's like you're getting all of the money from your mother, from Agnes, anyway.
Yeah.
Like, that's your money. Basically, he probably has the money already, and he just, like, allows Agnes to keep control or, like, you know, run the books or whatever. And so, for me, I'm like, I don't know why you don't just keep living your life. Lots of people are just bachelors forever.
Right.
Even in this time, just keep living your life. Like,
yeah, like your literal boyfriend who was like, I'm not putting myself in a box. I'm just gonna live my life. I'm not gonna get married and whatever.
Which is fine and cool. And like, I just don't understand, like, because it doesn't also appear that Agnes is pressuring him to get married.
No.
That's the kind of weird thing to me where I'm like, well, do you actually want to have a family? In which case, you're going to have sex with the woman. Like, you know, especially that's the thing is like Gladys doesn't deserve a sexless marriage.
Right. Aren't there has to be enough like socialite debutante gals who like kind of like, and you just are searching for someone to kind of like pick them and just be like, oh, I'm pregnant, even though they definitely already kind of are.
Sure.
It's like you could find somebody like that.
Someone that's in like a tough spot.
Right. Yeah. I mean, socially, people are fucking up everywhere. Yeah. So it's like, you mean to tell me that this is the only option for you? Like, search around a little bit more. Yeah.
That's the thing for me is like, I can't, if again, it was season 1 and it was only about the money, I understand why he's going after Gladys. Because Carrie Astor is certainly not an option because Mrs. Astor won't allow that. But that's the thing for me where I'm just sort of like, if you've actually turned this leaf, why are you declaring passionate love to Gladys when you still are mainly going to be having, even if George and Bertha both consent to it, you're going to be having a marriage in name only?
I don't know.
It's weird. It's weird.
Do you think that maybe he thinks that he'd be able to get it up for Gladys?
I don't know.
I don't think that he could get it up for Gladys.
I need to know how actually disgusting, like, gay men think the vagina is. Like,
it goes it's either you're in one camp or the other. Because I know some gay men that are like, I would rather gouge my eyes out and cut out my tongue than have to look at a vagina. And there are other gay men that I know that'd be like,
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have no idea.
Because he also, compared to his friend, he seems a lot more, like, open to the notion of it.
Yeah.
So.
But I honestly, this is just my reading on Oscar. Like, I think that he thinks that he could, but I think when it comes down to it, he'd be like, no.
I can't.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
Especially because she'd want it so bad, and I think he'd feel bad.
Yeah, I mean, I guess then I'm like, then with the time period, I'm sort of like, what does she know about sex? She would have no idea.
What a bummer!
No, I mean, I know, but
what a big bummer for her.
Well,
but then do you think, because the way that they were like sitting on the couch together, I feel like if they did get married and if they like give it a try and it doesn't work, and if he was just like, oh, apparently my junk doesn't work, but then it's just like, but I don't want you to miss out. So like maybe he would encourage her to take a lover.
Go have a footman or something. Yeah. Sure.
And then they would just be like besties, which would like, sure, fine, get yours 100%, but have that understanding
going in.
Yes. And
that's the thing is it feels like he's trying to dupe her.
Yeah.
Which I don't like.
I don't either.
Because you're totally right where it's like, but go the other way from House of the Dragon and be like, could you just like, please though, if you're going to have sex with someone else, make sure that they have my same general coloring.
Yeah, for real.
So that people know they're mine.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know. This is just being so silly because I've watched documentaries about this where it was just like a gay man and a lesbian woman found each other and like in these, in fact, it was actually, I cannot remember her name, but it was an heiress and she was like huge in the, not the Met, the other one.
The Academy?
Yes. Okay. She was like really big within the Academy. And everyone just knew she was a big old les, but then she like married her friend and they just like were a society couple.
Just hung out
yes.
forever. The show is making it seem like that's unheard of. In a way that like, I feel like marriage was more of like a business transaction.
100%.
Than anything. So I feel like you're right. I feel like he should be able to find like some sort of down on your luck woman and just be like, oh, the baby came early.
Yeah.
Like, oh no.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll wait to like Peggy's ex-husband's situation. Yeah. So like how did he explain how he had a baby? I mean, I guess he could say like the mother died or whatever, but like,
well,
his wife Carlotta or whatever.
Yeah.
Did they just say like, oh, the other mother died and we adopted him, or like?
Well, that man wasn't Peggy's ex-husband. Was it? I think that the father paid him off to leave. The family that we met in this episode was the couple that adopted the baby.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I think we would have, Peggy was like very contained. I think we would have had more hysterics if that was the husband.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm there now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was like the other big thing in this episode, which is that Peggy and her parents went to Philadelphia, because they, in the off season, found out that the baby and the adoptive mother died of scarlet fever.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were basically invited by the Spring family to like come and like see the house and have Easter dinner with them and everything. And it seemed very cathartic for Peggy. She seemed like okay, but what is her mother's name? Is Audra McDonald?
I don't know.
She seemed angrier than ever. And the dad still is like,
I mean, he came around in the end.
No, he did, but the whole time he was like, we shouldn't be here. I was just like, I mean, they invited you and this is like closure and you just can't accept that you made a humongous mistake.
Well, I think for him, it was more so the weight of the guilt. He didn't want to have to look it in the face.
You have to.
Right, but he didn't want to.
Ugh. And I mean, on the one hand, I agree with both of them where it's like, we'll make ourselves crazy if you think about, you know, what would have happened. But also it's like, that baby might have still been alive if you hadn't orchestrated this whole situation. Yep. So you deserve a little bit of guilt, for sure.
But I mean, the fact that he said it at the end and was like, you were right, I was wrong. The baby could still be alive if I hadn't done what I did. Yeah. I'm sorry. And so Peggy was like, we gotta stop.
Move on, yeah.
But then Audra McDonald was like, yeah, okay, whatever. And then and it's just kind of like, you know your husband. Yeah. Is that something easy for him to say?
Probably
or difficult?
Not. Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know, kind of give him a little bit of grace because he knows that he like really fucked up.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm sure he feels bad because, you know, a part of his bloodline is gone.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. I mean, how long do you punish someone? But, I mean, if he's just
a little longer.
Yeah, but I mean, if he's just like next day, like, ready to start my day, then it's just like, I don't think the apology really was real. But, like, if he, as long as he's like still showing that he's put out and like contrite, then
it's fine. Yeah. I agree. Peggy also is trying to come back to the Brooke house. She seems to be like, I can't stay in that house anymore with them bickering nonstop. And Agnes hasn't gotten another secretary. So she's like still open and Marian really wants her back too. Mr. Rakes is getting married to that woman that he left her for.
Mrs. Bingham or Miss Bingham?
Miss Bingham, that's right. And also, I think I must have said it in season 1. We were talking about it when we were just watching the recap of season 1. But I can't remember for sure if I did. But like the fact that his last name is Rakes.
I know, you just threw an I in there. Like,
that is on the nose. Right on it. Very
It's
funny,
a little
though.
too on the nose.
It's very on the nose.
Really, you guys?
Yeah.
Really?
I must have said it.
We had to have.
Because it's too on the nose.
Yeah.
So anyway, they're getting married. Marian's doing mostly okay about it.
She feels like we all do. Where it's just like, you know, because Ada's like, the next one will come along. And she's like, but is it really? Is there going to be a next one?
I do think that she kind of is like, what has she got to be like 24 maybe?
Yeah.
And I feel like she's already resigning herself to be an old maid like Ada.
And I'm just like, ma'am, everyone is throwing their shit at you. Like, what do you mean?
Well, and we got a new character, Dashiell. He was pretty good looking.
Yes, he was.
And he is a cousin of Aurora Fane. And so sort of, I guess, by marriage a cousin of Ada and Agnes.
Yeah.
Which they were very, very specific to say.
So many times. They're like,
just by marriage.
But not cousin. The cousin, but not cousin.
Yeah. And he's got a daughter, and his wife recently died.
Yes.
Yeah. So he's in town for like a while. And we also got a new reverend. Robert Sean Leonard. I know who that is. Yes, that guy. From House. That's who he is. And the Dead Poet Society. Oh, he's so attractive.
Who is he in Dead Poet Society?
Neil.
Oh!
Is he the one that killed himself? Yeah, okay. Spoilers for the Dead Poet Society. Oh yeah, The Good Wife, I guess just one episode, but yeah, he's been in a lot of stuff. But yeah, 174 episodes of House is the actual thing. So he's really cute too. Based on what we've seen from the trailers, I'm thinking Larry's having that affair with the young widow in Newport, and Marian is gonna catch feelings for Dashiell, and the daughter who seems to be like, you're my new mommy now.
Yeah.
And then Ada is gonna catch feelings for the new Reverend Matthew Fort, who apparently comes from New England and is trying to find New England clam chowder in Manhattan.
Sir.
Adorable. We only got a little bit of Carrie Astor in this episode, but it was good. I like want more of her. I want Gladys to be a little bit more of her own character. So I need her and Carrie to like hang out more.
Maybe because she's like out now. Well, because she wasn't out until like almost the end of the first
finale.
Season. Yeah. So hopefully we'll get more of that.
We got more Mamie Fish as well. And then the two of the big thrusts of this season seem to be the fight between the opera houses and whatever's going on with the railroad unions. There's the railroads are trying to union bust, which is making it really hard to root for George Russell, even though he's so hot.
We are a labor household.
We are a labor household. We are
so.
Yeah. So it's like I get it, obviously, in the time period and everything.
Yeah. But they are very much doing a like us versus them type of thing. It's just like, we're going to eat you, right?
Them, though, but it's them.
Yeah.
So that, and I'll be honest, like it happened a little bit in season 1 too, but like I kind of glaze over when the railroad stuff starts 100%. Happening. I like Morgan Spector's hot face can only do so much for me.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And because, I mean, we know, like, all the corruption and, like, the horrible
railroads,
things. Yeah. And so it's just kind of like, sure, it's, like, fun to see how the other half were living, but it was also, like, on the bones of men.
Real people.
Yeah.
I also just, like, because I like admiring, like, seeing and admiring the spectacle of it, I obviously don't want the Russells to lose their money. So there is a little bit of, like, obviously I want them to come out on top of this thing.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, I'm like, don't you understand that you could come out on top of it by paying your workers a fair wage?
Like, yeah, and so I think that's the interesting dichotomy between, Julian Fellowes' like UK properties versus the American properties, because our stuff is like, how do I want to say it? It's not, what things are built on is like not great,
Well, it's not great over there either.
No, but I almost feel like
those poor druids, Rachel.
I know, but I feel like they got theirs in the end. Or they're like still continuing getting theirs. But I think because ours felt faster, where it was over thousands of years, and so this was just like, we got in there, we killed them all!
We just speed ran the European genocides. Like,
yeah, just really got in there as fast as we could.
We're like, we're gonna do what you did, but faster.
Yeah, that's the American way. Innovation. Yeah.
Holy shit.
We haven't like officially talked about how Mrs. Russell, I can't say Bertha,
no,
Mrs. Russell is desperately trying to get a box
at the opera.
And she's being blackballed still. Yeah. And it's on purpose, 100%.
It's of course on purpose. And like, but Mrs. Astor, fucking long God praise whatever Donna Murphy. She is fucking eating in this show.
Yeah, she is.
She just like honestly has to sit there and be like, and like sip her coffee. But she's doing it amazing. And I love that for her. But yeah, she basically is just like, well, I mean, there's so many people who've been like waiting in line longer than you. So, sorry. But it's like, no, she's your new bestie. Get her a fucking box at the opera. Well, they're frenemies.
Yeah, I mean,
best frenemies. No, freminists is, what was it for? It's the Bob's Burgers were nemesis.
Oh.
But just, I think she says it with like friends, Millie and Louise.
Oh yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, but it's like frenemies.
Yeah,
they are frenemies.
Well, because Mrs. Astor allowed Mrs. Russell to kind of have a place, but she is very much keeping her in her place by not giving her box.
She is doing that, but also I think because Mrs. Russell said it multiple times in this episode. She's like, I'm not very good at waiting. Like, patience is not my virtue. And so, basically, just because of that, she's, like, doing all of this behind-the-scenes stuff and totally cutting Mrs. Astor off at the knees with this party at the end that ends with apparently the biggest get in the opera.
Yeah.
Coming into her house to do a private showing for these people who are plugging the Metropolitan Opera House, the new opera house that has 120 boxes. And so now Mrs. Astor looks like the old fogey who won't get with the times. And then the Academy can't get these people because they're not really willing to run at a loss. which also goes to show how much fundraising the Metropolitan Opera has done because they are able to do that. I don't know. It was actually masterful.
It really was. And I mean, that's the whole thing with the old guard. Like, yes, you have your generational wealth, but the new rich, there's so much money.
It's so much money, and it's also...
And they've got it to burn.
And because they had to, like, scrape their way into society, I think they're wilier.
Oh, 100%.
So it's like Mrs. Astor cannot outsmart Bertha. Like, it can't happen.
But it's like, she is, obviously, we saw it in the trailer, but, like, she is gonna, somehow Mrs. Astor is gonna pull something off. Where...
I mean, maybe.
Because there just has to be another way that... Because, Mr. Russell says, like, you've won this battle, and she's like, well, I intend to win the war, but there's so many other battles that she's going to have to fight.
Yeah.
Because if she wins this part of it where she gets her place, Mrs. Astor is going to move the finish line somehow.
Something, yeah.
Where it'll be, like, maybe she'll start blocking Gladys from matches, like, you would go through the daughter to get to the mother.
Maybe. But we're also, what we've seen is that there's also Europeans coming, hunting for American wives, rich American wives. So Mrs. Astor can't block all of them.
No. But there'll be some other way. Because, that's what society people do.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It all just seems so boring.
It sounds actually kind of amazing. I don't want to live in it. I do want to watch it.
No, I would watch it. I don't want to live in it.
I would like to be a kitchen maid.
100%.
Or like a lady's maid.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I'd want to be Peggy. Like kind of like middle or upper middle class where it's like I'm not required to attend to all these parties and like listen to the bullshit and participate in the
passive aggressive. But I hear all the gossip.
Yeah. And then I could be like, "Oh girl, did you hear?" Like, and then I can me and Marian can like, come together later and gossip. But like, no, having to think about all of this stuff and like how to move the chess piece on the board, I would rather die.
Yeah, I agree. Marian has also been teaching watercolor at some fucking place, school.
You would think that she was doing some disgusting.
You would think that she was literally outside in front of the Van Ryn house lifting her skirt over her head. The way that Agnes was like, well, I never. I mean, and she raised her voice.
Yeah, she did.
In a way that she hasn't before. And Bannister was like, I heard shouting. And she was like, oh, it's fine.
Well, because Marian straight up told Agnes that she was cruel and mean-spirited. I mean, she is. She needs to be told.
I would maybe cruel. I don't know that I'd say cruel, but she is definitely mean-spirited.
Yeah.
And basically we found that out also because Dashiell's daughter is one of her students and she recognized her. And so that's why she's like busy on Thursdays, is because she's teaching this class. And Ada was like, well, you have to give it up now, right? And she was like, I never. She was like, I'll be buried in that school.
It would be kind of nice though to like, I don't know, be in a station in life that if I took up a fun little job, that it would be seen as tawdry.
The horrors of teaching little girls watercolor painting. Imagine.
Yes, the horrors of me completing contract documents and having to talk to salespeople.
Yeah, that's the real horror.
Yeah, it is.
That is largely it.
Yeah, I feel we got so much.
There was a real lot.
Yeah.
Armstrong continues to be terrible.
Yeah.
Because Jack was making eyeballs at the new Russell lady's maid. And then when they all came back, Armstrong gave him a hard time in front of the maid he tried to take out last year, who didn't want to because she had been assaulted, right?
Yeah.
And then, the other, I guess we're making the McNeils into characters because, the one servant from the Russell house is Flora's father, which I had forgotten. And I guess...
Well, that was like a very just like, scene. It was just kind of like, we got out, and we got no other information.
Okay. So apparently he's her father, and then the husband, Robert, he because she literally had a full, like, I'm surprised it wasn't a spit take. She looked up and saw him pouring wine across the table and went, ah! Yeah. And everybody was like, what? And she was like, I think I bit my tongue.
Or something. And they were like, or something. And she was like, I bit my tongue. I bit my tongue.
And I honestly loved the cut to Thaisa Farmiga just being like, okay. Like, sipping her wine and making eyes at Carrie. But yeah, so basically she told him after the dinner, because he was like, what the fuck was that?
Well, because when he came around, they very much were like,
she could not have been more obvious that there was some weird connection with that footman.
Yeah. It was very who shit on the coats, but like on the most like zenith level of I definitely shit on the coats.
This is my dad and he shit on your coat. Yeah. Like, and so she basically told him, she was like, he's my father. And he was like, did you know? And she said, my mother said he fell in circumstance, but I didn't know like if I could trust her word or whatever. And she was like, what can we do? And he goes, well, there's one thing. And then he went marching out and we never saw the end of it. We both think that he's going to get Bertha to fire him. But yeah. I also feel like George isn't going to allow that.
Yeah.
Because I also feel like Bertha probably is like, I don't really care. My French chef is from Kansas. I clearly have no control over my downstairs staff. So,
but at the same time, though, he does good work. So, yeah. Like, I mean, outside of like leering at his daughter from afar in various episodes, like he really seems to keep to himself.
Yeah. And he also got it was Church, right? Church is their guy. Because he got kind of promoted for this dinner.
Oh, yeah. As an under butler.
To do like the wine decanting and pouring and chilling and stuff. So he was pretty stoked about that. Yeah, that then I think is actually it. It was a good episode. It was packed, like jam-packed, but it was pretty good. I liked it quite a lot.
Fashions. We love the mint. We love the mint.
Marian is like head to toe mint. Here's the thing. For the like Brooke/Van Ryn family, it like my ranking is in like opposite age order because Marian always looks amazing. Ada always is okay. Like
I feel like she's like funky. In a way.
Yeah, but it's like mostly good. It's like a little bit bohemian.
Yeah.
But Agnes is like stuck in the last.
Curtains.
Yeah, she's like wearing the last thing. Bertha had that one really good cream dress with the
rosettes.
Flowers, the really like pinkish red flowers all over it. Gladys's stuff was like, there was one unhinged one that was like a sheer thing with like a corseted bustle-y or bustier kind of thing on it. Like a vest, I guess. I didn't love that.
Everyone's Easter outfits. I told Kristen, I was like, they look like a pastry shop. Like they just all look like cakes.
So I liked Carrie Astor's. You said it was like a headache, but it was
walking migraine.
It was like teal with magenta. Like
it just was screaming at me.
It was loud, but and then Aurora did have that one good dress.
Basically Carrie Astor's dress was the dress personification of the Jonah Hill meme where he's going,
oh, sure.
Like that.
And then Mrs. Astor, she had that one.
She's Mrs. Astor.
It's fine, but she had that one, like, really, I think when she came for coffee, it was, like, really dark with dark roses all over it. That was fine. But I prefer the younger women's.
Peggy's morning dress looked kind of purple.
It did look like a deep, deep purple.
Yeah.
But we also couldn't tell if it was just black velvet.
Yeah, but like the fabric medium like mixtures was really interesting. Yeah. I always really like what they do with Peggy's.
Yeah.
Because then also
because it's also kind of like working girl. Like it always looks like a predecessor to like a business suit.
Yeah, there's a function to it. And then when she walked in on her parents fighting
that one was good too.
There was like a fold. So she had her normal like plaid pattern, but there was like a fold.
Yeah.
Almost kind of like I don't know the word I'm looking for, but like just like a section that was just all one color. Yeah. That was really interesting.
It was like dark greenish, right?
Yeah.
There was a lot of actually good teal in this episode. And it looks like there's going to be a lot of good green coming up.
Yes, my favorite color.
In the trailer there for the rest of the season, there was a lot of good green.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm glad we decided to do this again.
Me too.
We were not 100% sure. We got a lot of requests, so I hope you guys liked it as well. And we will continue moving forward.
Yep.
All right, well, let us know what you think and like and subscribe, and we will be back next week for episode 2.
Bye.
Bye.